Hello, good evening everybody. Hopefully you can hear me alright. Let me know if you can't. To move my microphone over a little bit. How are we all doing? That should be better. Hopefully you can hear me now. Hello, good evening everybody. Turn my own stream off. What's going on? What's up, Popcorn? Colonel Army. I don't know, got you Amy then. Sorry about that. How you doing, mate? Kev, what's going on? All good. Cars, my man. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you posting some stuff on LinkedIn. Keep it going. You sound great. Oh, thank you so much. Evening, loud and clear. Awesome. Hey, James. How's it going, buddy? Daniel Silver. How you doing, my man? How you going? I'm all good. It's been a busy couple of weeks. If any of you are following me on Instagram or LinkedIn, yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. Had some cool shoots. Busy around the end of the week. I've got shoots on Thursday and Friday this week. Thursday is another office, which is always fun. And Friday is a really interesting one. I'm shooting at a university. A big long shot with 200 people on it, so that's definitely going to have the chest cam on for that because it's going to be an epic day. That's going to be a fun one. No worries, cars, all good, mate. Tips for posting videos and Instagram reels, mainly quality. So 16 by 9, so you want to go 1080 by 1920, 4K. And the best frame rate is 30 frames a second on Instagram. That's what it's kind of optimized for. So yeah, 9:16 ratio. So 1080 by 1920, 30 frames a second in 4K, and you're all good. That's how I've found the best quality for. So Popcorn Colonel Army, I have a quick question. Go for it, shoot away, buddy, and we'll get started in a minute. Hello, Jamie. I'm on the way home from, I can't see, from South Pacific. Oh, cool. Are you flying? Are you flying? Have you got Wi-Fi? That's cool. Oh, all the way from, I thought you said I'm on the way home. South Pacific. Wow, that's awesome, man. Thanks for joining. Appreciate that. I put my GoPro 12 on 4K 120, but the footage doesn't look great. Any recommendations? I would scrap the 120 frames a second, go for 50 frames a second at 5.3K. That should look pretty good. What other settings did you have it on? You need to have your bit rate on high. You need to have sharpness on low. Two really important things. Don't have any stabilization. Do that afterwards. Shutter. You want to actually go for a 90-degree shutter. So if you're shooting at 50 frames a second, actually go for 200 shutter. Unless you're flying inside, go auto. As if you get too much motion blur, it struggles with stabilizing. So yeah, 90-degree shutter works best. Are you going to go a GoPro video settings at all time, at any time? Yeah, I should, mate. I'll get around to that for sure. Right, guys, let's get into this one. I don't want to be here for too long tonight, but everyone's been saying about rates. It's probably the biggest question I've had since I started this channel is on rates. So as we all know, I talked about previously, I've been using the standard Betaflight rates. So let me plug a quad in and we'll start looking at this. And I've been doing some experimenting because it's not really something I've properly dived into before, because I was quite happy. And yeah, it's until someone made a comment on one of my videos and was like, holy shit, are you flying with a standard Betaflight rates in acro inside? You're mental. And I was like, that's an interesting comment. So it got me thinking. So I've been doing some playing around. So hopefully you can all see my screen all right. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I'm just going to double check the stream quickly. Yeah, we look all good. No, don't shoot in HDR, Popcorn. Just shoot in GoPro 12, shoot in log or standard. If you're not really bothered about the color grading, shoot in standard. Don't shoot in high dynamic range. I don't think it looks as good. You're going to cause yourself issues. So let's get back to rates. So let's jump on to. So we're using the actual rates on Betaflight. So I'm sorry, I'm on a mega widescreen here, so I'm going to just tell you what they are. So the standard rates that came with a Cinebot, so this bad boy, were these rates here. So 70 on roll, pitch, and yaw on the center sensitivity, and the max rate 670 across the board, no expo. And you'll see this gives quite a nice curve. So when gives you a good amount of accuracy in the middle, and then obviously as it ramps up and as you deflect the stick further, you get a higher and higher maximum rate essentially, and it'll go up to 670 degrees, which I found pretty fine for flying inside, for flying outside, doing freestyle stuff. I've always just found that that's pretty much okay. Oh, okay, drifting. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess if you wanted to go for the higher frame rate 4K, it's probably fine. But I would look at your shutter, your bit rate, and set it on low for the sharpness as well. Sorry, another question quickly from James. Not to continue this topic, but also recording 4K wide angle, 30 frames, 60 frames. When I go to edit into 1090, it compresses my video into shitty quality. Interesting, it shouldn't. What software are you using? I'll come back to that. Oh, 20 people on the stream. Awesome. Just a quick shout out. So I do have a Patreon. So if you guys want to support my channel, greatly appreciated. If you join the Patreon, you can pay as little as £1 or $1 a month. You'll get access to our Discord channel. We've got a nice little community in there, which is now growing, which is great. And you also get early access to videos. There is also super chats available in the live stream. So if you want to support, that's great. If you don't, fuck you. No, I'm joking. Anyway, let's carry on with the rates. So yeah, so these are the standard rates, and I'm pretty sure these are the default Betaflight rates for in general, but also that shipped with the Cinebot. Now they have done some PID tuning on the Cinebot. Okay, so I'm not going to mess with that. Like I said, this thing just flies great out of the box. But I've been doing some thinking. So could we make these rates even better? Could we make this fly even better? So I've been doing some experimenting. I'm going to take you through the process that I've been using to try and figure this out a bit, right? So let's jump into Velocidrone. I'm just going to plug my remote in. And the nice easy thing about this is because Velocidrone, I think, is so accurate when it comes to the physics of flying, I feel like they're pretty much exactly the same as if you're flying in real life. So we can do a lot of this testing in the simulator, which is great, and it makes life a little bit easier for us. So we're going to jump into Velocidrone, and we're gonna look at some rates. So jump to single player. I'm using the TBS Source 1, which is actually a quad that I've got and I've built myself. So I feel like that's a good place to start, right? So we'll just jump onto a track that I'm used to, and we'll start having a bit of a play. So feel free to ask questions as we go. But oh yeah, I actually need to. Right, cool. So you'll see all my stick deflections here. So let's jump into the menu and let's play with some actual rates, because this is what we do ours on, or what I do mine on. So let's set this to what I've got my Cinebot set to in Betaflight, so 670. Cool. We'll save those. So, oh, what's going on here? Oh, 707. That's going to feel weird. this is what I've got my Cinebot set to at the moment. And, you know, I know it's a different quad, but I'll come to that in a minute. I feel like it's good to test this out on a freestyle quad rather than a Whoop, because I don't think the Whoops are that good in this game. Or, sorry, in this simulator, let's say. So let's do some flying and kind of see how it handles, right? So I'm pretty used to this. Actually, I don't know. Hold on, let me see what my angle's set to. 20, that's fine for now. So let's do a little bit of flying, get a little bit used to it. And it's good to start off with the defaults and then kind of see where it goes from there and how it handles. So, like as I've always said, this always feels, you know, pretty good, to be fair. Sorry, I'm not really concentrating on this right now. But this always feels pretty good to me, and for this sort of flying, actually these rates are quite good. But as you all know, a lot of real world flying I do is inside buildings. I've completely forgotten where the track goes now. Is inside buildings where, you know, these rates are, while I've managed with them, you know, they're probably a little pokey, if I'm honest. So I figured, okay, let's have a bit of a play. Let's start figuring things out. So, okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Cool. So what I'm going to do now is jump back into the rates. We're going to stick our max rate down at 0 for now, right? And then we're going to start off with our center sensitivity. So we'll now see, and we'll stick this up at, like, you know, let's say 150, just as a good kind of starting point and baseline. Yeah, so we'll now see we've got a completely linear curve here. So basically, as much as we deflect the stick, it's just, you know, for every, you know, part you deflect the stick, it's going to go up in linearity, and it's just going to go up basically exactly the same. There's no kind of curve there. There's no kind of expo, so it should be pretty predictable the way it flies, right? So let's have a see and, you know, how that feels. So let's jump back in. So this is going to be a lot less responsive than what I was just flying with, but we'll get to that. We'll come to it. So let's go. So first of all, what we'll see, I'm just going to get some height and do a roll. So look how slowly that is now turning, right? But what we're looking for here is precision, right? Because that's ultimately when I'm doing a lot of flying inside. I don't want it to be super sensitive in the middle, yeah? So this is kind of where I'm going to start out. And I'll kind of go through where I've got to with this. So let's try and fly the course again. And see if I feel like I'm limited. And I kind of am. I can already feel that I'm quite limited with this. But what it is feeling is very precise. So let's try some, you know, slower flying, let's say. Let's bring that camera angle down a bit. And let's just fly real slow as if we're flying a Cinewhoop. And we're just going to try and hit some... We're going to sort of freestyle it a bit here and just almost like we're filming a fly through. And what we want to try and feel is how precise I feel that I can be. Because when we're flying internal fly-throughs, it's all about being precise. And you don't want it to be, you know, mega jerky essentially. You want to feel like you've got just loads of control. It's not going to run away from you. And of course I'm flying an acro as well, so, you know, the control is essentially all down to me. So this feels pretty good. I would say it's still probably a little sensitive. Like I could ramp this up and kind of, you know, fly around a bit. I'm not going to do any snap moves or anything because it's not really set up for that right now. So, but yeah, it feels comfortable. But I'm probably thinking that actually I could tone this down a bit more, just to make it nice and smooth. And we're not, you know, this is only the first part of this little process. And that feels okay. Okay, cool. So let's go back to the rates again. So I've actually done a lot of testing on this, and This is probably going to shock you at how low this is. And I am now specifically talking about flying a Cinewhoop inside a building. That's what we're specifically talking about. We're not talking about freestyle, as the rates would be very, very different for that. But what I want is maximum control, especially when I'm flying around people. Really, really important. So what I've come up with, and this is what's going to shock you, is 20 on the center sensitivity. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to that, and this is going to be really shit because it's going to fly terribly now, right? Because it's got absolutely nothing. You're going to see how much I have to deflect the sticks to do anything now, right? But like I said, this is only half of the process, and it'll start to make sense in a while. But what I now have is a huge amount of control in the middle, yeah? And at the moment, it's difficult to fly. But like I said, there's a second part of this process. But yeah, look how much I've got to deflect those sticks for anything to happen. Let's do a roll. Look at that, 20 degrees per second. It's nothing. It's terrible, right? So how would this even make sense? Okay, bear with me. So now, what we want to do, sorry, the washing machine's going, so you have to just bear with that. And also, actually, you want to stick our expo on 0, I forgot about that. So yeah, currently we've got 20 degrees of rotation per second, which is literally nothing. It's almost unflyable. Hey Neoflow, you should try and crash and host more lobbies. That's a good idea. Yeah, I will, mate. I think we should do some more flying. Right, so stick with me on this, okay? So now we're going to look at our max rate. So that is when we fully deflect the stick, what the maximum rate is, and we'll just zero out all of these center sensitivities now while we're talking about this. Is it going to let me? No, it's going to go down to 10. Okay, fine. We'll stick with that for now. That's fine. But now we're going to try out the max rate. And if we were talking about freestyle, and you wanted something super snappy, you know, let's say some pilots might stick that right up to 1200, right? Which is just crazy. You're going to have 1200 degrees of rotation at max, you know, stick deflection, which is wild, which is, you know, going to be unflyable. So let's try. It's just going to be mental. You're going to see how little I have to move the sticks. Oh, it wouldn't let me go to 0, which is annoying because you're not getting the full force of this. You'll see it's just ramping up. Like I've got. And let's just go high and then, whoa! That's wild. But you see I've got quite where I've left the center sensitivity at 10, which I actually wanted to put it to 0 to show the full effect of this. But anyway, so let's stick our center sensitivity back at 20. But yeah, so with the max rate, essentially what we want to do is have a bit of a play with this and try and figure out where we think our max rate would be good enough. So what we want to create is this kind of curve here. We've got lots of control in the middle, but as we kind of deflect those sticks more, you've got the kind of full scope essentially of you know, the rotation. A couple of questions. Yeah, no, I'm not drilling down the house. It was the washing machine. Daniel Silver, my rates for the GEPRC Cinelog is sensitivity. I can't say it. Center sensitivity 50 on roll and pitch and 100 on yaw. Interesting, because I was thinking about that, but I've actually just left them all the same because I prefer that. But yeah, up to you. Max rate 150 for roll and pitch and 250 for yaw. Expo 0.3 for roll and pitch for 0.2. But I made them just for indoor flying. Yeah, and look, this is totally you know, dependent on your style of flying and what you prefer. So this is very much like a trial and error process. But testing out the max rate, what I've actually come up with is setting it to 500 across the board with no expo. We don't really need expo because, you know, we've kind of built that in with the sensor sensitivity as well. So what you see now is what we're hopefully going to have here is loads of control and accuracy around this bit. And then as we deflect it further and further, eventually we're going to get to 500 degrees of rotation. Yeah, makes sense? So I've been experimenting with this and I felt that this is actually a sweet spot for me. So I'll tell you what, we'll change track and we'll go somewhere where we just wouldn't fly a 5-inch drone ever. Yeah. So let's change the track. Let's go to a house. Because we just would never do this. And this is a really good test for, you know, figuring out if this is, you know, a decent set of rates for this type of flying. Yeah, and we would never do this. We would never fly a 5-inch drone inside a house because that would just be mental. So let's try this out and see if this is manageable. So remember, we're in full acro here, and these are the rates I've come up with. And just look at the control I've got in the centre. Whoops, there's a little bit there. But I just feel like I'm so in control now, as opposed to what I was before. And again, we wouldn't ever fly a 5-inch inside a house. That would be stupid. But I feel like it's totally doable. So I feel like for me, these rates are actually really, really good. For this type of flying, you wouldn't necessarily, these wouldn't really be good for kind of freestyle or, you know, external flying necessarily. But you know, if your approach is simply for cinematic visuals and cinematic flying, which, you know, 90% of the time, as much as fun as freestyle is, it's not really cinematic flying. But if you're filming for something specifically, you know, you want to have lots of control, but also you want to have the ability to ramp things up if you need to. So let's just, yeah, we're flying around this house quite nicely. And this is a 5-inch, you know, quad in acro, which is not something that I would probably want to do, you know, properly anyway. Like I said, I'm not really concentrating now. But yeah, I feel like I've just got loads of control. And to be fair, when I was flying the Cinebot sometimes, I felt like sometimes it would get away from me a little bit and I would have to bring it back, and it would, you know, take a little bit more movement. And it was just maybe a bit too sensitive. But I feel like with this, just got loads of control. Feels pretty good. I don't feel like it's trying to run away from me. And yeah, I'm not, you know, trying to fly particularly cinematically right now. But, you know, flying slower is always harder. You know, because the quad starts to eat its own wind. It gets tricky to fly. So I feel like having that accuracy in that middle, you know, I'm not having to deflect the sticks very much, but it's just enough so that I feel completely in control, he says, and then crashes into a wall. But yeah, easy to recover as well. I mean, look, small room. Feel like I've got loads of control. It's quite easy to hover it. Keep bashing into walls. But yeah, so does that make sense? Like, I feel like I've really dialed them down. But then let's go, you know, to a different track where we're outside again. Let's just go to the bando. I'll come to the questions in a second, but I'm just, you know, trying to prove a point here. Just wait for the map to switch over. So then we can, you know, let's ramp it up. We're not going to do freestyle. We're going to fly cinematic. And I feel like because we've got that maximum rate set to 500, again, lots of nice control. But if we want to start ripping it a bit, you kind of can. It's just got enough, and you probably maybe want to stick that max rate up a bit, and that center sensitivity up a bit. But we're not that far off. You know, I am not doing lots of snap moves when I'm flying and filming, because that's not the sort of thing that I'm going for. So actually, you know, we could probably even dial this up a bit, to be fair. It feels a little sluggish, but you know, actually it's not bad. And we're kind of ripping it now, but I just feel like I've got so much control, which is the main thing, you know. Oh, there's a post there, I didn't see that. Crashed. You know what I mean? And look, this is not a setup for racing. Absolutely not. Because you've got to deflect the sticks quite a lot. But if you want to fly nice and smooth and you're filming and you want to get the best stabilization, you know, this works pretty well. So, I mean, you'll have to experiment with this and kind of figure out what feels right for you. But for, you know, like I said, slow cinematic flying, this is pretty good. Especially for flying indoors. So, I mean, for outdoors, and you can have separate rate profiles set up, right, which you can kind of change on the fly. So, that would work pretty well. But yeah, I feel like this feels nice. I mean, it's super smooth, loads of control. I mean, and like I said, I'm not really doing any snap moves, you know, when you're filming, so I'm not worried about being able to, you know, change direction really quickly. And I feel like I've got just enough here to be able to, you know, do some nice smooth moves if I need to. But I can just put the drone exactly where I need it every single time into a wall. Yeah. Does that make sense? I feel like I should be making a bit of sense here. But yeah, I spent a bit of time on this and kind of just dialed it in for what I think kind of works for me and the type of flying I'm going to be doing. You know, and no, this isn't for racing. You know, if I was going to be doing, let's say, just a freestyle setup, I'd probably stick this up to like, I don't know, 700, let's say. So we can get in those kind of snap moves. Save that, and then go back and then see how it feels. You know, and we can totally fly like this. And now we've got a lot more sensitive in the middle. You can instantly see it's not as smooth, right? So I'm not able to, I'm having to make, it's a lot more sensitive on those adjustments. And you'll see the quad's just moving around that much more. Yeah, I haven't got that accuracy in the middle and that smoothness anymore. And you know, for you know, faster types of flying, that's probably what you want. But when you're trying to film, probably not what you want really. And I am not a freestyle pilot, but in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, for me, whew, yeah. Again, I don't really know this map that well. But again, yeah, I mean, this is obviously great for this type of flying, where we're absolutely hooning it and not really worried about what we're filming. But at the end of the day, that's, you know, what I'm setting my quads up for, is to get the smoothest footage possible while still being able to achieve the flying or the type of flying that I need. So, you know, if I was chasing a racing car, I might need to bump those rates up a bit. But if we're doing kind of slow cinematic flying, I don't need the rates to be mega high and sensitive. Make sense? Right, let's have a look at the questions and see if everyone thinks I'm talking shit. Right. Sorry, I'm probably going to go back up a bit now. What's the best drone for real estate? Well, in my experience, it's what I've always flown with, is the Cinebot 30. I just think it's great. You know, you could probably go for something maybe a bit smaller. They do a Cinebot 25. Might struggle to carry a GoPro. I don't have any experience of that. I've not flown it myself. But for me, the Cinebot 30 is just awesome. It's great. Give us a Matty flip. Fuck off. I will not embarrass myself. Yes, that's my rates for Cinebot. That's Seb Jones. 65mm analog Cinewhoop. Give us a Matty flip. Cheeky fucker. What sim is that? So this is Velocidrone. I really like this. So, do you have any flying other modes besides acro? Not really, to be honest. I did, when I first started out, I did fly in angle mode. But I've just gotten used to flying in acro. I feel like it's the most versatile. I feel like it's where I've got the most control. So I would definitely build up to it. and yeah, build up to it, you know. And you don't have to fly in acro, you know. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not a real pilot if you're flying in angle mode. There's plenty of good pilots out there who are flying in angle mode inside. I would say external flying, always acro. You just got to. It's not fun otherwise. How many fail-safes did you have in your FPV journey? 2. I've had 2 fail-safes, which I'm not really sure I want to talk about, because fail-safing's dangerous. Like, it's not a laughing matter. I'll talk about one of them. I had a fail-safe. So I was filming a school probably about 1.5 years ago. Big private school. Fortunately, there were no kids around. It was in the summer holidays. So there wasn't, no one got hurt or anything. But basically, I was flying over this big quad area right above the school with the 5-inch FPV quad with a GoPro, and it was fairly heavy. Didn't look very dissimilar to this. It was actually the TBS Source 1 V5 frame, which I built myself with a GoPro and a battery, and I got above the quad and I just lost the video feed, and it's the first time it ever happened to me, so I wasn't equipped to deal with that situation. In hindsight, I should have stuck it in angle mode and just punched it, waited for it to get high enough until the signal came back, but I panicked. And I killed it, and I just turned the props off, and it just fell to the ground from about 100 meters up. Pancaked the GoPro. It looked like it had been run over by a freight train. The battery didn't blow up, which was fortunate. The quad had a couple of broken props, but it was fine. I still fly it to this day. Yeah, scary moment. I'm not going to say about the other one because that was even more scary. And but you learn from these things, right? And actually, I will talk a little bit about the other one. So I was flying in a town. It was really early in the morning. There wasn't any people around. I was doing a shot, and I tried to switch. I'd realised I was in angle mode, and I tried to switch into acro. But back then I used to have my my arming switch on. I don't know how well you can see that. I used to have my arming switch on this far left switch here, and instead of pushing this one to stick it in acro, I hit this one and just fail-safed, and it fell to the ground. And yeah, that was that. So it wasn't too bad, but it was annoying. So ever since then, I stopped using that two switch. And I switched it onto this press button on the back of the Boxer, and it's never happened since, because I could never confuse that for anything else but my my arming button. So yeah, interesting story. There you go. Do you have these rates on Betaflight? I can't see where I need to put half of the rates. Only see the first 3 rows. If in doubt, throttle out. Very good advice. Yeah, let me close. We'll jump back in Betaflight, so hopefully this will all make sense, and I'll show you exactly what I've done with the Cinebot as well. Oh, we're still here. It's still powered on. Okay, cool. So the Cinebot, what I've done now. So we've got 20 on center sensitivity on roll, pitch, and yaw, 500 in the max rate. Again, roll, pitch, and yaw, and no expo, because we've kind of built the expo in with the center sensitivity and the max rate already. Yeah, so that's kind of how I set this up. Now, if you wanted to add a bit more expo, you could add that in there, and you'll see you get an even bigger rate curve here. I decided not to go for that, as I've kind of found that this works really nicely for me. And a handy tip: if you struggle with your throttle control, stick a 0.2 on your throttle expo, and that will just give you a bit more of a curve. Let me make that smaller. A bit more of a curve. So it just might make it easier for the throttle control. I just leave that on 0, though. I'm kind of used to how the throttle works now. But yeah, actually, this is my actual quad, so we're just going to set this back to what I set it to. Save that. So now, sometimes I do fly the Cinebot outside. So what I will say is, so I've got a couple of different rate profiles set up now. So I'm leaving the profile it came with. As you know, I found when I have had to do external flights, this has been quite nice, just to Betaflight defaults. But then for internal, I'm now going to use this second rate profile here. So I'm basically just going to leave it set to that, essentially. Yeah, makes sense? Cars, hopefully that answered your question. Well, hopefully you found that somewhat educational, and I appreciate I probably just waffled through that. Now, there is a really, really good video on this, which you can go to. So if you jump onto YouTube, I can't take credit for this method by any means, but like I said, it takes a bit of fiddling. But if you go to Joshua Bardwell, obviously, he's got a really good video on here. So find your perfect rates with science, and it's basically following the same philosophy that I've just been following, and then kind of dialing it into my flying needs, essentially. So this is a really good video to watch. I suggest you go and watch it, and then yeah, you'll figure it out from there. But yeah, good to have you all watching. Hopefully you found that useful. If you didn't, that's fine. Just go away. If you did, it'd be great to hear if you found that useful. Let's have a look at some more comments. So, honestly, learning the angle mode trick when you lose video is the difference between breaking and saving a quad. Absolutely right. And back when I did it, I was none the wiser. But you learn from your mistakes, and you have to learn from your mistakes. But yes, if you lose your video feed, stick it in angle mode, punch the throttle, and hopefully it'll come back. You know, if not, hopefully you should be in line of sight. So if all else fails and you don't get your video feedback, hopefully you can spot it and bring it back safely line of sight. Yep, I got to go. Have a good rest of your stream. Thanks, Cars. Good man. Good to have you here, buddy. Thanks again for the information. No problem. I'm late. I'll have to watch it later. Hey, Chris, how's it going, man? Yeah, sorry. I know it's a late one tonight, but yeah, you were probably off doing something more interesting than watching me talk shit. But yeah, feel free to watch it back, of course. But yeah, I guess we'll just answer some questions now. What's up, Smirk? How's it going? Hope you're doing well, my man. So yeah, I've got a couple of interesting shoots coming up this week. Another office fly through on Thursday, and then at a university on Friday, which is going to be mega exciting. It's like flying through a huge arts and performance building. Loads of extras. It's not going to be a kind of single shot. We've decided to go for a more broken up fly through because we've just got so many different areas to cover. We've got like motion capture suites where we're going to have people in mocap suits. We've got a TV studio, so they're going to have a car in there pretending to film it. So we're going to fly around that. They've got like VFX suites. They've got photography studios, dance studios. So it's going to be awesome. Like 100% going to be filming another episode of Day in the Life for that because it's going to be wicked. So yeah, that would be cool. I was contemplating using the Cinelifter with the Blackmagic camera, but I think I actually need the versatility of the GoPro for that one because I think the lighting conditions are just going to change so much over the course of that. But I'm going to be using the Blackmagic with the I'll show you. I don't think I've got this one out on my stream before actually, but I've been using this a little bit recently, which is cool. So it's if you're interested in these Cinelifters, big shout out to my boy Chris from Halo RC, absolute legend. He built this quad for me. It's essentially a 4-inch Cinelifter. So it's just a Cinewhoop essentially, but just on steroids. So if you look at I'm going to unplug my Cinebot now. If I can do it with one hand. There we go. So you'll see the kind of Cinebot, and then you've got its big brother, let's say. We'll call it the mothership. So it's only a 4-inch, but it's able to carry a naked Blackmagic 4K. Which is just so nice. The quality on it's amazing. I've got a 7.5 mil Laowa lens on it. But yeah, you've got the Blackmagic just sits on top there. It's to naked ones, so it doesn't weigh a huge amount. But still, there's things like 1.5 kilos fully weighed, with like a 2200 mAh battery on the back. So I'm actually going to use this for my shoot on Thursday in the offices. So I may well record that. Yeah, the size difference in these is crazy actually. It's so heavy as well. But the captures on it's amazing, but it's just a lot more hassle. You can't shoot in auto, so you've got to really prepare for light changes. It's not good at doing transitions from outside to inside, but if you're just flying inside, it's an awesome combination. So big shout out to Chris from Halo RC. That's called the Halo RC Cali. Check out his website. I will just link it. So if you go onto Halo RC, build some amazing quads. This is the Halo RC Cali. It's got an O3A unit in it, Express ELRS. Chris very kindly built this for me. It was my first Cine lifter, so I don't want to fuck it up. Because it's obviously carrying a much more expensive payload. But yeah, this thing rips as well. It'll do 75 kilometers an hour. It carries a naked Black Magic, about 5 minutes flight time. It's relatively lightweight, although once you've got the camera and the battery on it, it's about 1.5 kilos. So it's not, it's a bit of a beast. So big shout out to Chris. He's awesome. He builds some fucking great quads. Also build some regular quads as well. Actually, so he also does bind and flies, which is cool. I think these are the only 2 bind and flies that he does. Is the Horus, which I've got as well, which again can carry a Blackmagic 4K or 6K. But he's also got some really cool frames. So like some 5 inches, some tiny little racing quads. I actually want to really try this out. The Odin frame. So this is like a toothpick quad. I think that'd be really cool. We've got some sort of 5-inch frames as well. So yeah, just builds amazing stuff. Also sells like naked cameras as well. So you can send the camera to him, he'll convert it for you, but he'll also do like a full build as well. So this is the one that I've got, the naked 4K. So you can do like your own DIY kit, so you can rip it apart yourself. Or you can do a full ready to fly, which is 2.5 grand, so it's not cheap, but really cool. Quick one about the naked GoPro video. People should really try and not destroy the battery housing. You need to reconnect that should you ever want to upgrade the firmware to the GoPro. Just a tip. That's a good shout. Do you need to do that? Pretty sure I've upgraded a GoPro without the... Do you mean the stock firmware rather than GoPro Labs? Yeah, I mean, I've never had the need to, but maybe you do. So that's probably a good shout. It's a good mention. I didn't really think of that. So, but yeah, for my use case, I don't need to do that. So if you're using GoPro Labs, you can just update it with an SD card. Should be fine. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. Like I said, hopefully you found the stuff about rates useful. Like I said, do a bit of experimenting, but what I showed you tonight is a good way to start. Yes, a naked has to have battery attached. No, not other USB power. Oh, okay, interesting. Right, okay. Yeah, I've never actually tried to go roll it back to the standard GoPro firmware rather than GoPro Labs. So yeah, good shout. I'll maybe just drop a note in the video on that, so people don't rip apart their GoPros and they get pissed off at me when they can't update the firmware. So good shout, mate. Thanks for that. It's the main firmware for GoPro. You can only update if you have a battery. Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, good shout, mate. Nice one. I'll stick a caption on the video, and hopefully that'll. I didn't know that. Every day's a school day, right? So, yeah. Should we do some flying this weekend, guys? Should we jump into a sim, and we'll do like a live stream and do some flying again? I enjoyed that last time. It was good fun. Real good fun. I think it was you, Chris, wasn't it? We were just chilling, having some fun. It was good. Has anyone got the 04 unit yet? Anyone been playing around with that? I haven't yet. Again, I'm not sure I will at the moment, but yeah, see some interesting videos coming out. Anyone excited about the Mavic 4? I know it's not FPV, but has anyone been seeing the leaks on the Mavic 4? There's been some pretty interesting leaks coming out on Facebook, which I've seen recently. Let's go to, which group was it in? I think it was in Commercial Drone Pilots. My friend Matt keeps posting these little leaks, which has been pretty cool to look at. Here we go. Oh no, that's just gobbledygook. Mavic 4 Pro camera info. So it looks like we're getting a wide angle lens, so 24mm f2 D-Log. Awesome, so pretty standard. We're now getting a medium lens, which is 2.5 times, so 50mm rather than the 70mm, which was times 3. That's going to be f2 D-Log, which is awesome. So that's going to be a much nicer camera than what we had before. And most importantly, that telly, which was a times 7, which was 160mm, is now 145mm with full D-Log. Not sure about the aperture yet, but that should be pretty cool. So looking forward to those. If you've seen it though, it looks ugly as fuck. The Mavic 4 Pro looks ugly. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. It looks like a fish with its mouth open. It's weird. Is it this? Yeah, here we go. Little video. Mavic 4 leaked animation. Looks fine from the back. Looks alright. Oh, it just looks like a fish though. Where's the front of it? Look, it's like a fish. It's like a fish with its mouth open with a camera in the mouth. It's weird. Looks strange. Good video by Troncat today comparing the 04 to the GoPro 11 naked. GoPro is definitely king. Yeah, I agree, mate. From what I've seen on the 04, it's great, but I still think GoPro is king. Maybe not in low light, though. I think maybe the 04 does better in low light, but I still think the GoPro's just got it down when it comes to light transitions, etc., etc. So yeah. Cool, guys. Well, look, hopefully you found tonight useful. I've probably waffled more than I should have. Relatively short one tonight, but hopefully we'll do another stream this weekend. We'll do some flying, do a bit of a hangout, and again, we can do some more questions. So if there's not any more questions, I'm going to call it a night, head to bed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. And yeah, looking forward to the next video coming out. Again, share the channel, share my day in the life videos. Always good to get more views and get those out to more people. And, yeah, have a good one, everyone.